welcome to another episode of our Inner Sparks featured stories. I am Lily Yan, your host of this podcast and founder of our Inner Sparks Network, a network of ordinary women sharing our extraordinary stories. We all have so many inspiring women around us in our lives, our sisters, our neighbors, our friends, our mothers, our grandmothers, and our daughters. We need to acknowledge and celebrate each of these women's successes. Let's do that together. Let's use these opportunities as ways to inspire and empower each other and others. Join me to discover, embody, and share our inner sparks. In this episode, I'm so delighted to introduce you to an up-and-coming actor in Canada, Connie Wang. She is not only making sparks on the screens, she is igniting sparks in people's lives. Connie has been leading others to live a fully expressed, authentic life. Her multi-year journey of self-discovery and self-expression has helped her achieve great successes in her personal and professional life. Connie and I found each other on social media. I was always drawn to her energy, openness, and sense of freedom. Recently, we've discovered how our passions are very much aligned. She has been injecting much-needed positive energy into the community during this trying time of COVID-19. I'm very excited to be sharing her story and her journey with all of you. So without further ado, here is the self-expression queen, Connie Wang. Hi, Connie. How are you?
Hello, Lily. Thanks for having me. I'm great.
Thank you so much for joining our Inner Sparks today and sharing your story. As everyone can hear, you got so much energy. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing during this COVID-19 situation? Because I think you're doing a lot of amazing things.
Oh, thanks. I live in Toronto. I'm an artist, an actor, a speaker in Toronto. That's like my big passion is being a creator. So I live a fully self-expressed life in terms of acting. So I'm like always just looking to be creatively fulfilled and artistically expressed. And then over the last year, I really started my other stand as being a self-expression authenticity coach for human beings to be unleashed, unfiltered, and unstoppable in their expression, just in their everyday life. So that's a stand that I take as a human. So now that with the COVID-19, like things did shift for me because now I can't go outside, but ultimately my schedule still is fully packed. I'm still taking classes with my acting coaches. There's actually more to learn, to be honest. Now I can actually engage with master classes. I can actually like learn more and like strengthen myself artistically. And
Right.
at the same time, now I see myself being the leader that I always saw myself to be, is really stepping into leadership and facilitating intentional sessions in the morning, like daily sessions in the morning. And now I'm
Yeah.
thinking about doing one, on the weekend to get us all on track and filled with purpose and passion for the weeks. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And I have to say, I've joined your morning sessions a few times, and they are very powerful. It gives the people who are joining a sense of structure, sense of purpose, and gives the motivation to get going, right? Because a lot of times we get up in the morning, like, especially now with the COVID-19 situation, it's like, okay, well, I can just put around at home and do nothing. And you can get lost in that. And what you've done is really giving people some structure and some inspiration to get going. And like you said, set some intentions and move
Mm-hmm.
forward. And so that's really much needed now. But I think, as always, it's always been needed. It's just, I think people are feeling it even more so. It's great that you're out there doing that. And we need more people like you creating this opportunity for people to stay positive and stay mindful. Thank you so
Thank
much for doing
you.
it. Mhm.
Absolutely.
So you call yourself self-expression queen.
Yes.
So where did that come from? Tell us a little bit how you live up to that on a daily basis.
Okay, great. Full self-expression is something that really hit me in 2019 around August. I
Hmm.
really got that I was living a fully self-expressed life. And leading to that conscious awareness. I was actually always I feel like it's like my purpose in life to actually be fully self-expressed. What really woke me up to it was in 2018. I had left my first like big relationship. My ex-partner and I, we were living together, and things were getting really, really tumultuous. And I left. I just walked out. But just to give you just an idea of that relationship and why it was such a turning point in my life, and I am so grateful for that experience, was because I was with a relationship with someone who I used, like, the personality was someone that I was with all the time, like that it was just a repeating pattern. This
Mhm.
the like a dominating, yells, raises her voice, puts me down, controlling, jealous, like that sort of personality, those traits, I was
Mhm.
always drawn to. Why are women so attracted to like jerks? That's a very good question. So I decided to move in with him. I learned like maybe 80%, I'd say, of the lessons that I need to learn about myself in that relationship. I shut myself down. He told me to stop talking. On my 26th birthday, he told me to stop doing that, to stop talking. So I did. And then anything he said, I was obedient with. I just listened to. And I completely lost myself in that relationship. I gave
Oh.
up on myself and I could not find myself. I was so lost. My acting career wasn't going anywhere. I was in so much debt. Wasn't telling anybody what I was going through. I was having panic attacks. Yeah. So then I had my best friend, Mike, to just call me every day and just check up on me. And then it hit me one day when I was like, you know what? I'm leaving. And then he was like, yeah, you actually can. That's an option for you. You can leave. You can choose to continue to stay in the relationship, or you can leave. Yeah, Lily, that was the first time I ever chose myself. And so that was
For
like a
you.
Friday night when I had a conversation with my best friend. Next day I left. I walked out.
Good for you. It
And
took a lot of courage, I'm sure, and it's
thank
the right thing for you.
you.
Yes.
And then from then on, I walked out, and it was like all the work that I had done in terms of like with acting, but also all the personal development courses that I did, and the speaking courses, and just like everything that I had done, it all started working the day I left. I was like, no,
Mhm.
oh, I get who I am now. And then since like middle of 2018 until now, I've been on fire, living into my full self-expression, because I really did realize what it was like to be like the walking dead.
Mm.
Like, we have life, but very rarely do I feel like we actually show up to live fully in our greatness. And I think from my experience being with my ex for like that whole time, it was like a year and a half of my life where I was just like dead. I was a lot like I was like awake, but I wasn't awake. I was just like
Mhm.
eating, sleeping, and just like, you know, just like getting by. I wasn't
Yeah.
actually fully expressing myself, because if I fully self express myself, the relationship wouldn't have even happened. I would have been like,
Right, right.
no, I don't want to be with you. But I had to learn, right? These
Yeah.
things we have to learn. So now I'm like so awake and ready and just so hungry. I'm just so hungry for life. I won't oversleep. Like, sometimes I'll wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, Connie, go back to bed. But I can't, because I'm just filled with so much purpose and passion and so much direction and clarity, right?
Yeah.
It's a gift to be this way,
So it's
you
like when
know?
you know what you're meant to do, right? And you're
And I
doing it.
really got that from that relationship. So, because I always say that was like the worst thing in my life, but
Mhm.
and now I realize, like, almost 2 years later, that was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It
Yeah.
happened for me, and
Yep.
I chose for it to happen. And now I'm literally a completely different person, a completely transformed person. And now I get to be a leader, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. You also mentioned previously to me that you've gone through some kind of self-discovery as well in a very, I guess, intense meditation type of experience. Is
Hmm.
that about the same time?
No, this was all before.
Okay.
So I started meditating intensely around end of 2015, beginning of 2016, and all
Mm,
of 2016 I actually meditated for like
mm,
fully for like 9 months. So I
Mm.
started off the year doing the 10-day Vipassana meditation, which I swear by. I actually just finished that meditation before you called.
Oh, good.
So that was nice. And yeah, so I went to the 10-day. You end up meditating, the full day, really. And
Mhm.
then I came back and I was like, in between jobs, I was in a really rough time in my life. I just turned 24, nothing was working for me. So I was like, you
Mm.
know what? I'm just gonna meditate. I'm just gonna meditate, wake up at 4:30 in the morning, meditate, and just like, just do that the whole day. And from that, I didn't know why I was doing it, but I feel like it definitely was preparing me for the life that I'm now living.
Right.
I just didn't know why, but I always felt called to just sit down and just like close my eyes and meditate and just like focus, just on my breath. And then when you do that, when I was doing that, like all of a sudden it's just like I feel like God came down and we
Mm.
just started, or like universe, like a big voice was
Yes.
just speaking to me. That's what it really was.
Mhm.
And that's why I always sat down and meditated, because the big voice was always there, just telling
Mhm.
me, guiding me. So for 9 months of 2016, it was absolutely amazing. I really got a sense of who I was,
Yeah.
and I ended up losing like 2 pant sizes. I became vegan, plant-based fully. I completely transformed my, like, yeah, my
Yeah.
friendships, my
Yes.
relationships. My
Mhm.
whole physical environment was completely transformed.
Mhm.
And I didn't think it was true, but then I looked back and I was like, wow, I had such a magical year. I'm so happy I got really let go of things that weren't working for me.
Right.
And then why I say that it's the beginning of my self-expression journey was because when I describe self-expression, it really is a way of being. It's really getting the whole essence of who you are and being that. And
Right.
so that year I was able to really get my voice, really be myself, so that when I found my ex, my now ex, which was like a few months later, and then I dated him for a year and a half, the journey continued, because
Mhm.
I really got a sense of who I was on the inside. And then when I started dating him, it's like I didn't know how to express who I was on the inside.
Right.
So that
There
was
was a
the second
conflict,
part.
right? The
Yeah,
conflict of the who you are outside versus who you really want to be inside.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that was the second part of self-expression. That's why I say it's always two parts and there's a
Mhm.
bridge. You want to bridge who you are and be able to authentically express that too.
Yeah.
So why I feel like now I'm living a fully self-expressed life is that, every day I work, I meditate so I get a sense of who I am. I start off the day just like really creating who I am and then expressing it, like fully expressing it in all areas of my life. So I'm fully
Right.
unleashed. And that's really where the passion really comes from, the purpose is just being who I am everywhere I go. Right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And
yeah.
it shows. It really does show. Um,
Thanks.
See, you and I met on social media, and I have to say, I've always been drawn to you. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't explain it. There's a value that I put together for our inner sparks. I want to help people to discover, to embody, and share their inner sparks. And you're exactly it. So I'm looking at you and going, she's got what's going on and she's sharing it, right? She
Mm-hmm.
knows who she is. She is, behaving externally that way, expressing it that way. And then she's sharing it with everyone because she wants everybody to come on this journey with her and also do that for themselves. That's what draw me to you because it's like this energy and fireball, I believe, will ignite a lot of people's inner sparks. So I'm
Oh,
so thankful, like I said, that you're here to tell your story, that you are where you are, and it does take years. What you just described. It took years of working for yourself,
yeah.
right, and working really hard and consistently on.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud you for that, and um,
Thanks. Yeah.
you have also these followers you call unicorns. Why is
Mm-hmm.
that?
So I think for me, unicorn means, again, like the way of being.
Mm,
So it's not confined and restricted into one gender role or one identity. And I think the best way to really put it is God is the biggest unicorn. God is the original unicorn. If you really want to get down to it, like the unicornness is just the magic, the magical being, and you also allowing yourself to surprise yourself. You're constantly growing. So there's a mystery to a unicorn as well, right?
Mm,
There's like they're like in legends or in folktales, but they're actually everywhere. They're everywhere now.
right,
They're making a comeback,
right.
right? So they're so mysterious. Yeah, that's why I like to call people unicorns, because one, everyone is, and sometimes they just don't see it.
Hmm.
But a lot of people are now calling themselves unicorns now that I call them a unicorn. And like,
Yeah.
you are just like, let the miracle of you be and let it arise. And so I've been doing these morning calls since COVID-19, and these people, I can feel a sense of a magic within them, a sense of faith, having hope and having faith in themselves.
Right.
So that's why I call everyone a unicorn, because everyone really is. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
really
just the
is.
sense of they're unique, they're special, they're magical. Yeah,
Hmm.
it does. And I when I hear it, it's very endearing too. I don't know why, but I think your explanation is really good.
It's
And
fun, right? It's
yeah, it is
super
fun. And I was gonna
fun.
say, and it is fun.
Yeah, I'm
So
also a very fun person. I know on podcasts I can come across as like so like serious. No, but I'm actually really fun, right?
yes, you
It's just like you want to get like the essence of who I am, is I am fun, but I'm also very clear and very grounded and very
yes.
committed to the transformation that I'm set out on. So that's why I always have like this dual tone of being
Mhm.
very like, oh, I'm serious. But then also I'm just like, you're also just like a fairy and you're like a unicorn, and it just like also just doesn't matter. Just go have fun, right? So there's that
Yeah.
duality of living this life too.
I also have to say, like, I think it's a sense of, you're self-confident, open, authentic, but there's a sense of freedom, right? The
Yeah.
freedom and not taking yourself too seriously at times, because that's the fun part, right? And
Yes.
life, not only just that one path, but you gotta have color to it, right? I think that's what it is. And I see that
Absolutely.
fully. And you're demonstrating it fully in your social media and everywhere you're on. So um, congratulations, because that's exactly how you project.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We must create structure so that we can have fun inside of the structure.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's the
Exactly.
whole point,
That's right.
right? Yeah.
So let's actually talk about the meditation part, because I've previously talked to you about it. I think doing that gave you some self-discovery. It was a really
Hmm.
extensive. I'm doing that for almost a year. It was an extensive journey for you. Um, and it's not an easy thing. Like, I think meditation, a lot of people shy away almost from it, because one, it's a
Hmm.
it's really, time committing to doing something, but a lot of it is because it's not understood well. I've gone through and done meditation, and I still do it through guided meditation, but I have to say there's a lot of doubt, self-doubt, while I'm doing meditation, because it's really, am I doing this right? Is this supposed to
Hmm.
be how you're supposed to do meditation? Maybe it'll be helpful coming from somebody who, practice extensively and daily. Maybe coach people to think about how they should think about their meditative practice and how it could be developed.
Okay, yeah, great. So
Mhm.
for someone who's just starting out, I say, just start off with like even like 2 to 5 minutes a day. I think that's great. Like right in the morning, that's already just such a commitment that you could be doing. And that there really is no right or wrong way to do it. Certainly there's also different techniques and different like modalities, I guess, or methods. Like I'm really committed to Vipassana meditation. That's the type that I think is the best. It's basically just being fully present in your body and just being with all of the sensations, and just like everything that comes up, just letting it come up and just feeling it through
Right.
until it's gone. But with something like that, I really do advise like doing an intensive. When I started my meditation journey, I had never done meditation before, and I just went ahead and just did the silent meditation retreat without doing meditation ever. And
Mhm.
I was called to do that, and I think that was the best move, because then I had 100 people in the room with me, and I had two teachers, and we were all just like together, even though we weren't talking. It's just like, okay, we're all in this together.
Mhm.
Whereas why I feel like everyone gets kind of iffy and shaky about meditating on their own is because then we're stuck with our minds, which is exactly what we're battling. So then it just feels we get fearful, and then we start
Right.
battling our minds, which are all the reasons that I'm hearing, Lily, is just like, how do I do this? Am I doing it right? I'm bored.
Right.
I can't do it. So already you're battling your mind when the whole point is to overcome your mind. So then you feel you're like you're alone in it, right?
Hmm.
So that's just where I'm coming from in terms of just meditating on your own. Like I relate to that feeling,
Right.
and you can still do it. So there's I just advise like focusing on your breath, just coming
Hmm.
back to your nose, like breathing through your nose in and out, and then not making yourself wrong when your mind goes off into like la la land and you realize you're like, oh, I just went off. Just come back to your mind.
Right.
There's
So
no
feel
sense of
okay about, like you said, feel okay about having that happen, your mind wandering somewhere,
yeah,
and just let it kind of flow through and then come back.
come
Right.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do agree because on my own, when I do it on my own, it's not something that I enjoy yet. Like it absolutely is something that I go, oh gosh. Like you said, there's a little bit of I'm alone, kind of like, I'm not sure what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and I'm
Yeah.
doubting my own practice. But then when I'm at a yoga class at the end, when we're doing the meditative practice, I actually feel very good afterwards. Like you said, being with other people actually does help because you're in this
Yeah.
together and you feel the energy. And this is something that I notice with yoga and meditation is that you do feel the energy in the room.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you you take from others and you also are giving out energy too. So that actually I feel helps me as well. So I agree. I think, if somebody who wants to experience that might be a good idea to go out to a class or something to start off. And I have to admit, I'm still struggling practicing it on my own, but I'm very encouraged that hearing from you that I'm not doing wrong. Like I have to continue to tell myself there's no right or wrong. And when the thoughts go away, just calm back and then, and continue and
Totally.
focus on some things that are in control, like your breath, right? So,
That's it. That's really it. Like today I meditated for like over an hour, and because of all the energies that are happening in the world, like I could not focus on like the rest of my body and do Vipassana scans. So I just come back to my breath. I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'm just gonna come back to my breath. Like I can't focus on anything else. Because
mhm.
usually I would just do body scans, but I was like,
Right.
okay, I can't follow. So I just come back to my breath. And that already I was like, oh, thank God I did that. It's
Mm,
just like, okay, I could do that. I can do that.
right. Right.
But yeah, it's and even right now, especially with COVID-19, like I'm so grateful for, because we're all distance. I'm getting now how grateful I am for a group, for people, right? Because just the energy is so different. So like now we're all in the same boat of being on our own, right? Just so everyone knows, like with COVID-19 happening, there are a lot of people who lead meditations online. So I totally suggest turning on your computer, going Instagram live, like or like tuning into
Mm,
someone's Instagram and just like
yeah, yeah.
being with their meditation.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I will start practicing more on a daily basis now that we have more time at home. So
Yeah.
that's a great suggestion. Your career is quite colorful, so let's talk a little bit about your acting.
Yeah.
um, I guess what helped you to decide that that was your path?
Great. So I knew since like I was born, because
Yes.
I was such so much energy, and I was always such a ham. I was performing like all the time. My parents, they just like laugh. I was always just such a goofball. And I actually because I grew up in a really like white community, and my parents were so committed to giving me skills, and thank God they did. That required a lot of extracurriculars, right, for me to actually go out and participate. And a lot of kids were like super racist. So I think my performative personality came up even more when I was learning how to survive out with like my peers at the time, because I could feel them already wanting to say something. Like every single time I'd walk in, they'd be like, oh, look, it's a Chinese girl, like stuff like that, right? Or it's like, where are her chopsticks? Like it was like lunchtime, like where are your chopsticks? So it's like I could already feel all the comments coming and all the jokes coming. So the way that I actually was able to manipulate and survive my childhood was become the really charming and like funny and bubbly and like happy girl. So people
Mhm.
always liked me. right? So that's the kind of personality they created. And then on a more artistic level, it's like, no, I actually like was like, I was like, okay, I'm destined to act. Like I actually really do love it. So
Right.
then
Right.
I went to theater school. I got to theater school in Toronto. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, that was when I was able to really train and become the actor that I am today. And also really work on deconstructing the personality that I created for myself as a child. So that just like I just married the two really, and then just becoming more and more authentic as my life went on, and just becoming more of focusing more on my individuality as opposed to my personality. And the difference between the two is individuality is who you are, and personality is what people know you to be. Yeah,
How you're perceived as Connie,
is a
right?
personality. Yeah, and
Mm.
it's not real. And
Mm-hmm.
individuality is who you really are.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually very surprised coming from a Chinese culture myself. I know we have a very traditional culture and our parents get involved in a lot of our life choices. Let's just say a lot of traditional cultures, children growing up in those cultures balance between what really they want and what their parents want for them.
Yeah.
And being that, you know, person that you want them to like you for, right? So,
Hmm.
and I think it's a huge thing that your parents are so supportive, uh,
Yeah.
letting you make your own life's choice and allow you to go through that because that's, and I'm going to use that word allow. It's a selected word
Yeah.
because I think in a lot of parents' mind in our traditional cultures, they feel that a lot of times it is their say, right?
Hmm.
I think it's unfortunate, but
Hmm.
I also applaud parents who are a lot more open and
Yeah.
supportive of their
Yeah.
desire where they want to go in their life. So
Hmm.
it's amazing that they kind of
I know
are that open. Hmm.
my parents are the absolute best. Just like on just not even Asian parents, just like parents in the world. Like they are the best. They are just so open and really supportive and just really they just love me and my sister so much. Very wanting us to express who we are.
Oh,
But at the same time, we really did have to get good grades. And my parents, obviously, when I went to theater school, my mom was like, "You still have to get a degree in something." So I was like, "Okay, I'll go get psych." So I literally like went insane for my undergrad because my mom was like, "Okay, you need something to fall back on." I was like, "All right,
uh,
fine." So
that's
I still
amazing
did
though.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, my parents were very fair. Like I had high expectations academically,
Hmm.
and then in terms of extracurriculars, they were like, you do whatever you want. And also we want you to do everything. So
Uh,
certainly I did things that I really didn't want to do. Like I never wanted to ice skate. I hated it. But my mom put me in class lessons for that. I didn't
yeah.
ever want to swim. I hated it because I was also like going through puberty and like I was in a bathing suit. It's just so
Yeah.
awkward, right? When you're with like all these hot guys. And I'm like, ugh. But then it all
Yeah.
turned out fine because her intention was for me to become a lifeguard. And then I was hired when I was 16 and I made so much money. And I was
Yeah.
like, Mom, like, thank you. Like
Yeah.
all the complaining, all the
I
whining of not
know.
wanting to go to swimming classes. My mom was like, see, was it worth it? Now you can go to work, you can have fun and get paid like double or triple what everyone else is getting paid at McDonald's.
Right.
And I was like, thanks, Mom. And she was like, Connie, like the one thing I wanted to give you and Karen is skills. And so you have
Right.
the confidence to go out and do anything. And that's so true. Like
Oh, that's
I
so
look at
nice.
my mom. Yeah, I had a nice call with her last year when I told her I wrote her a love letter and I like really forgave her for everything that she did, that I resented her for. And
Oh,
really what I got out of the letter, like obviously I was a mess. I was like actually coming like spilling all the beans and everything. And I was like, what I really got was like I was the one creating all the resentments. And like my mom literally, like I get that I'm such a great person, and it 100% every single thing that's great about me came from my mom.
oh, that's so
And I
sweet.
told her that. And now
Yeah.
our
And it's
relationship is completely different. It's just like after that call of really being so honest with my mom and just getting down to like everything from like, being called fat, right? Because we're Asian, like being called fat to like, okay, your skin's nasty. Okay, you don't have a boyfriend. Okay, this, and this. And I addressed everything. And what I really got was like, my mom just like really wants the best for me. And like, I'm far away from her. She just wants someone to take care of me, and she just wants me to just like fit in and just be awesome and just be seen for like the awesome human that I am. So,
and it's her way of
right?
expressing her concerns, right? And yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah,
the second
yeah.
I got that, we had a conversation about it. Oh my God, it was all released. Now I tell her about every single date that I have. How
Oh,
beautiful
that's
is that? That I can talk to my mom about everything now. I'm like, oh my God, it's so freeing.
that's so nice.
So many clients who say, my mom does this. And I'm like, did you ever tell her? It's like, no, I would never dare. And I was like, okay, well, then there you go. You're not being fully self expressed. So as long as you are holding on to this and not expressing it, you're always going to feel this way.
Yeah. And the
That
expression
really is
is,
it.
I mean, I feel like as long as even at your younger age, even if you are frustrated, as long as you're doing it in an open and respectful way, both sides, right?
Hmm.
I think the conversation could be a lot easier, really. Like a lot of times
Hmm.
we do it to ourselves, right? We get resentful and we hide away and we don't talk about it, or
Lily,
we
a
hold in and
hundred
then we
percent.
blast,
It's 100% you're responsible for your life. Okay, I'm just
right?
gonna leave that. So if you're definitely doing it to yourself.
Right?
100%. It's
Yeah,
your life. So you're
exactly.
responsible for your life.
That's a great story there. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about, when you're, becoming an actor at the beginning, you mentioned, wasn't really going your way. Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges or the self-doubts that you had and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, totally. The challenge was I thought that, I would never be cast past a white girl. That a white girl would always be the lead. Um, like, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not blonde, I'm
Mhm,
not like tall, I'm not normal. So those are the kind of things that I usually thought about.
mhm,
And then how I transformed that was I decided to. So this was the year when I started meditating. I was like, you know what? I'm starting my own YouTube channel. So then I just started making my own skits, started vlogging, and I was having a lot of fun with it. And then
mhm,
people were starting to see me, and then I was having fun, and I was feeling so expressed, like I wasn't holding on to all my artistic expression anymore, all my resentments. I was actually just like, you know what? I'm just gonna create. I'm just gonna create. And so that was really nice. And then after that, I just started transitioning into acting more on film and TV. And that was starting to really take off. I think because I
mhm,
was in a better space. I was mentally just like my mindset was different. And I stopped being complaining and using the race card. And I really just really started owning who I was, just like
right.
literally as a unicorn and just being like, no, this is me. You take it or leave it. I'm great. So because I stepped into that, things started really taking off. And then I broke up with my ex and things really took off. And
Mhm,
then yeah, and then I was in Tokens on Call, which is a web series. And
yep.
then I was in Mayflowers, which is a short film that we created as all Asian artists. We created a short film, and
Mhm,
that's garnered a lot of like accolades. And then I've just been on, just made appearances, a bunch of shows, movies. So it was quite the journey when you first start because you see yourself as a victim and you feel so powerless because you're like, oh, everyone else makes choices for me. What's the point? And then eventually, like years later, I realized it's just me showing up and doing my best. That the whole point of acting is really to own who you are, is
Oh,
to
love that.
really own who you are and not be attached to the job and just know that your job is literally to own who you are and to be who you are. And that's
Mm,
it. Just to have faith and that's it. Which is kind of like COVID-19 right now. It's literally just like you are who you are.
mhm.
That's it.
I love that though, owning who you are and just, oh,
Hmm.
good. And it's interesting you say that about acting because you think of acting as somebody going into a role, right? And then you pretend to
Yeah.
be someone else. But really, I mean, I think it comes down to it. And again, you still have to be who you are to get those roles, because you kind of have to understand who you are and how you can then utilize that and propel into the role that you need to be in.
Exactly. You must know who you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then people will see it. Like if we don't know who you are, you're just like doing things just because it reads on the camera picks up everything.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
camera will pick up lies, the camera will pick up right through,
Or even
so
insecurity, right? Because if you don't own who you are, you probably be insecure in what you're doing, and it projects that too, right?
oh yeah, we can see everything. The camera doesn't lie. So that's what's so delicious about acting. It's just, and speaking, right? Just being who you are. It's just like the camera picks up the truth.
Mm-hmm. What is the most enjoyable part of being an actor?
Oh, I love, I just love getting to know people. I really do. I love showing up, like being with the community, and then just having a full day of, being able to like learn my lines, and then being able to, do it over and over again in a different way every time. She's like, can I just push it a little bit here? She's getting a little bit more intense here. And it's just really finding the character and just having so much fun. Just really just like pushing my edges.
Yeah,
I think
pushing
that's
your
what it is.
boundaries. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I mean, obviously, you've gone through self-discovery journey, and your career is really taking off, and you're doing incredible things. Like you said, you're on, Tokens on Call, and you personally been nominated for the Canadian Screen Award for Best
Yeah.
Lead Performance in a web
Hmm.
series. So
Hmm.
congratulations on that. And so there's a
Thank
lot
you.
of that's awesome. So
Thank
happy
you.
for you.
Thank
Um,
you.
what's next for Connie?
COVID-19 is, I think it might be actually a few months as opposed to a few weeks. That's from the latest that I've heard. However, now that as that's happening, gives me more time to create and build a community in the world, right?
Right,
So I am still continuing my acting classes and just like strengthening my audition skills and strengthening, um, just artistically, just like coming from a more of like a director standpoint, really reading screenplays and just like seeing the whole picture. That's something I didn't have time to do before. Before I was just like this like busy actor, and now I really get the time to like see the whole story.
right,
um I'm also creating a series. I'm causing it so that create like a nice coming of age story that would be centered around like a young woman's like I would play the lead, but it's definitely solely based on like my journey. But now in
right.
terms of dating. So I'm going on 50 first dates this year, and
Mm,
I will be unstoppable. I'm creating everything, right? I'm fully self-expressed in all areas of my life. So
yeah.
everything is happening right now. I know you were talking about needing coaches, but yeah, I do focus on especially women, and
Mhm.
just causing them to really step into their unleashed, unfiltered, and unstoppable expression in all
Right,
areas of their life. So I would
right.
be the stand for them, and I'm so
Right.
happy to do it. Like I love that.
Like you said, from our Inner Sparks perspective, like to look at giving more accessibility to women who don't normally have opportunity to get training. That's really cool that you're interested in that as well. Awesome. Okay, so final segment, in search of our true fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 questions, a short sentence or 10 words on each of the questions as answers. The first question is, how do you define success?
Success is knowing your self-worth.
Nice. Well said. No, seriously. And if you don't know what you're worth, then you don't know how you're
Game
gonna go.
over, boo. Game
Yeah,
over.
yeah. Okay, next one. What makes Connie happy in life?
What makes Connie happy in life is feeling and being present with my ever changing essence.
Like that.
Hmm.
Because you're right, because we're never constant, right?
No.
We're all we're constantly changing. So that's very interesting a way of looking at it. I like that. Thought
Yeah.
provoking. Next one. What is one thing that everyone should take away from your story that could ignite or help them
Mhm.
harvest their inner sparks?
Leave that relationship. leave the job, leave that situation or that way of thinking that you know is holding you back.
So true.
Right?
Yeah. And so many of us don't have that courage in taking that step. Absolutely. And I know even when times are uncertain, like what we're going through right now,
Yeah.
even then, doing what's right for you, right?
Yep.
I love it.
This
I
is
love
it.
it.
This is
Thank you
life,
so
baby.
much.
This is
Thank
it.
you, Connie.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
Oh, so much fun. I enjoy this intensely
Totally.
engaging and fascinating conversation
Oh.
with you.
I'm so glad.
um, yeah, congratulations on all your amazing achievements. And I'm sure
Thank
there's
you
more to
so much.
come from Connie. And, you know,
Absolutely.
you are really living a life through incredible transformation. You're leading the rest of us unicorns and
Yeah,
encouraging us to be brave and express ourselves freely. So thank you for that as well.
absolutely. And if anyone's listening, they want to keep up. I mean, they could follow me on Instagram at
Oh,
Connie Wang
totally.
underscore. And then you can add me on Facebook, Connie Wang. And I'm on Twitter, Connie Wang underscore.
Yeah,
I
and I'll
live for
put
this.
all of that in the show notes as well,
Sounds good.
so everybody can get to you.
Love it.
And yeah, and be present to, in present
Hmm.
time, and really, hopefully, people will kind of find their own way, through this as well, the situation of COVID-19, and continue working on themselves. As Connie said, that like we have more time now, right? Like
Yep.
why not? Connie, I hope you will continue doing all this amazing work, and I wish you all the best in your colorful career.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
If you enjoy our Inner Sparks contents, I encourage you to subscribe and follow and share with your friends and family. Your thoughts on this episode is encouraged on all our social media sites, which are listed in the podcast description. We'll have some engaging questions on the social media sites about topics touched upon within this podcast, where you can interact with one another. Feel free to share your own related experiences, what you have learned from this podcast, and what you will take away as actions. Please always exercise mutual respect as we interact with one another. This network is a safe place for everyone to learn and grow. If you have any feedback on this podcast, the social media sites, and this network as a whole, please feel free to email me at ourinnersparks@gmail.com. Should you or someone in your life have an inspiring story you would like to see shared in our network, please feel free to email me with a nomination for future features. Thank you for listening to this episode of Our Inner Sparks Featured Stories.